A lot of years ago, I read the following quote by DeWitt Jones. Now, DeWitt was a National Geographic photographer for many years. Beautiful stuff. And he turned to as into a motivational speaker after he kind of retired from Nat Geo. They sent him all over the world, and he took pictures of the most grace-filled, small parts and pieces of life. It's beautiful. So, from his ruminations, from his seeing contributions that people made, he wrote this. I'm coming to think that it's not so important that we make a difference, but that it's very important that we make a contribution. Making a difference involves somebody else seeing and recognizing what we put out there. We can't control that. They make the difference in their own lives. Our joy can't be dependent on whether somebody else receives what we give. Our joy has to be in the very act of giving. Our side of the equation is to make a contribution. So it expanded my awareness, because sometimes we think contribution means, oh, how much do we give, to charity or whatever. But that's not it. It's such a little part. Money is such a really little part. Yeah, I know you may. It does not make the world go round. Love makes the world go round. So, but this quote gave me a new perspective on my desire to make a difference in the world. He traveled and he saw life through the keen eye of his camera. And through patience, he would wait and get just the right shot at just the right time. It might mean sitting out in a wet field for a whole day, or going back every evening just to get what he knew would be that right shot. He also talked to people, everyday people who, in their quiet way, or sometimes in their bold way, made contributions to their community, to their family, and beyond. They didn't see it as doing anything special. They lived from their passion and their commitment to whatever was theirs to do. Not for show, but from their passion, from their love of life, their family, their community. They made a contribution from the best that was within them. And I think that's the highest and best we all can do, wherever we are at the time. Now, you've heard me say this before, but my call to ministry came when I was only 17. And as I grew and as I matured in my spiritual understanding, I was hopeful that I could make a difference. I had no idea how, or really what was mine to do. It took me a long time to fully embrace and act on my call. I kept hearing, your life is your ministry right now, Gail. Your life is your ministry. What does that mean? What does that mean? So what I really came to see that it was fear that held me back, and at times still holds me back from fully expressing the things that I feel, the things that Spirit moves through me. Fear, that false evidence appearing real, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Golly, it hooks us, doesn't it? Because we live in this world of form. Well, last week we talked about the season for nonviolence, and that's centered around the tremendous contributions of Mahatma Gandhi and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the strides they made in the world toward the world peace and justice. Our other big name spiritual contribution stars, not the only ones. But, in our world, and more recent even, is Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, Jesus. He had pretty big impact, would you say? He made a pretty big contribution. Mother Teresa, Oprah. I love Oprah. And so forth. They contributed to the world in a mighty way from their call, from their passion, no matter what, no matter if they got accolades or not, no matter how uncomfortable or frightened they became. It was their call that drove them. Now, it didn't help my angst about being called to ministry when I remember seeing Jesus hanging on that cross as a child. I'm like, well, that's not very inspiring. And then Gandhi and King were killed. Nope, still scared, not ready. I had to grow inside tremendously. So as I strengthened my spiritual practices and listened to my mentors and to myself, and finally went to ministerial school, I began to realize what DeWitt was really saying. It's about contributing from our best selves, not being concerned about the outcome, about the perceptions that other people have. And when we're become spiritually and emotionally mature, we do care, and our contributions are from a place of love. However misguided they may seem at times. When I realized that allowing our innate gifts, our passion, our soul work to express, to come out in the world, it is an unencumbered contribution. The act of giving of myself. Now, I mean, my fear got the best of me because of my perception that I had to make a difference. And that's only a byproduct of a contribution. My contribution to this world, when I allow Spirit to guide me, is unencumbered. As DeWitt said, it is up to us as individuals to decide what makes a difference in our lives. It's also up to us to choose how to make a positive life, how to make positive and life-affirming contributions in our lives. We don't always. And we certainly aren't all destined to lead the next big world-changing event. And I don't desire to run for office or to have even a mega church. Yeah, no, I'm good. But we're called to pay attention to our own life. Am I really listening to my heart, to Mother Earth, to all of the places, people, things that we encounter? Change on a world scale or in our personal life is not always easy, but it is always necessary. Change is always necessary. And the more we resist it, and the more we try to hide in that fear place, we can get a little beat up sometimes from life. We can only start right where we are in this time and place. One breath at a time. Can you hear my cuckoo clock? One breath at a time, one thought at a time, and one deed at a time. Our love, our ministry for service is love in action. So when we serve from that place of love, we're not expecting big prizes because, wow, I gave the most. It's great to appreciate each other. My mother would roll in her grave if I didn't send a thank you note. So it's not about that, because that's part of the contribution. We're grateful for those who give to us and help us, and we're grateful for that. And we don't have to feel like if somebody doesn't do that, that we blew it, that we're not worthy, that they didn't like it, they don't like me. Wow, do we run those things in our heads? Don't we? Ah, oh, it's so easy to go there. Throughout the years of our country's history and our world's history, the fallout of change nearly tore the nation to pieces. And those with the high ideals and a clear vision for the world that works for everyone, that's what they were after. That's what our forefathers and mothers were trying to do. But we don't all agree what that looks like. In England, who we separated from, they thought having a king was the way that a world works for everybody. Because the king just told everybody what to do, right? And we don't work that way as humans. But if we take the time to understand how others see it, we might be surprised how similar our visions really are. We have to take the time to listen, to pay attention to our own self and to what's going on. It helps me to have a deeper understanding of why so many give their lives for what they believe they were called to do, instead of horrifying me and making me afraid to make big contributions in my own life. I started to see it was their contribution that they were called to do. Now, I don't have to agree with their reasoning, but I must look deeper than just disagreeing. I've got to look deeper than just disagreeing and writing that off. I have to look and forgive. I have to move to forgiveness. Because life is so much more complex than right and wrong, isn't it? If it was right and wrong, easy peasy. Nah, would it be? But here's what I think, I really deeply feel that life is so much more complex than that. But it's simple at the same time, because we're not privy to the big picture of life. We're just not. And we're not privy, and this is a good news, we're not privy to what each other thinks. Thank God. Now we can express it, but we can't, and we go by, we have this body language stuff and all that stuff, but we really don't know. Sometimes we don't even know what we're thinking. We haven't taken time to analyze it and to not analyze it, but sit with it. We don't know what happens after this body gives out. We really don't need to understand. And this is a hard one here for me, how the suicide bombers so deeply believed what they were doing that they killed themselves and others. We don't condone it. We don't excuse it, but we must go deeper and try to forgive and understand that this universe is very complex. And I think we're shielded from some of it. And for us thinking humans, we're like, we want to figure it out. We want to know why. We want to know where. We want to know how. And what I've come to for me is that if I believe what I teach, what I practice in the universal good, then all of what happens must be for a reason, for a part of the great cosmic web of life. These thoughts and my spiritual understanding, this is it so far. It gives me comfort, though. It's not like copping out. It's not like, oh, everything's fine. Divine order. I absolutely believe in divine order and divine, but I don't make excuses using that as my little, shield. This divine timing, this divine order. If I feel like I'm pushing through life, then I am not honoring the divine timing of the universe. But I get more courage to speak my truth and to deepen my own faith and understanding. That's the contribution I must make to myself, and then I can contribute to the world from a different place. I don't need to be agreed with all the time. I hope I'm not. But to help maybe somebody find their own way to move more deeply into their own soul as I grapple with my own. Contributing to life on this planet doesn't look just one way. Our lives and this planet we live on is life itself. So much bigger than our humanness can grasp. And that's the learning for me. 2 little words, contribution or difference. To let go, to listen deeply, to be awake and aware to the choices that I make, understanding behind and beneath and around it all that we're all one. If we say that and we believe that, what does it look like that we're all one? We don't make the same choices. We don't make the same contributions. But we all contribute, whether it's positive or negative. It all spreads out further in the cosmos than I can ever know in this lifetime. You know what? I'm going to be okay with that not that don't know mind. I know there's nothing static. Nothing stays the same in this world because it's teeming with life. I look forward then to my next my next level of understanding. I don't wait for it. I dive into it all the time. And I forget too. Get mad. It's like, it's not, I never walk around on this pillow of knowingness. I sit with my unknowing. I sit with my angst and my fear and my worry. I'm a mom. I worry. I have all of these things, but it's part of the cosmic dance we dance. Continually diving into it, becoming unencumbered. So I invite you in this coming week, dive in, go within, and find where in life you feel encumbered. Where do you feel burdened? Where do you feel afraid? And then let go. Just a little. Remember, often and little. And then know that you can and are making a contribution from the best that is within you in that moment. The best that is within you in that moment. You are the beloved. You are God's beloved. This universe, this cosmos, this life, you have a place. You are the contribution. You are the contribution. Life is good. Thank you. Namaste. Now Barb's going to take it over.